Revelation 1470. From the 13th of June 1940. Awakening faith. Deep, unshakable faith. Every faith makes demands on the human being, and if he fulfills these demands, he recognizes the faith, that is, he affirms it. He is therefore believing, if he complies with the demands, but rejects the faith, if he ignores the demands. Who now believes in God, will also make it his business to fulfill what God demands of him, provided he also loves the being, which is the concept of God for him. But faith and love are inseparably connected with each other, because to believe in God also means to recognize him as a being who is the epitome of deepest love, highest power, perfection and unimaginable wisdom. And man must love something so perfect, and he will also do everything out of this love, what God demands from him. Therefore faith is the first prerequisite for a successful life on earth. And without faith, man can never achieve even the slightest success for his soul. Because faith in God only lets man recognize his origin, and the consciousness to have gone out from exactly this divinity, lets him strive to reunite with him. And this striving for the union with God is the actual purpose of earthly life. Without faith, however, man is not ready for any spiritual work. He does not open his heart to the spiritual power that wants to help him, because he does not affirm such power at all. But again, faith cannot be awakened in man by force, but he should approach him affirmatively out of free, inner conviction. And so God can only indirectly come to man's aid by stimulating his thoughts, and man now asks himself questions about what is inexplicable to him. If man does not want to recognize his origin from God, another explanation of his existence will satisfy him just as little, so that he now sends this question into the infinity, from where he will now also be answered. Now different thoughts will flow to him, and again it depends on his will, which thoughts he gives ear to. Faith must slowly come alive in him. But this is again dependent on whether man is lovingly active. Men can, even without being a believer, unconsciously strive towards the good, and such a man will undoubtedly find faith. An unloving person, on the other hand, will never ever give access to thoughts that lead to faith. Unkindness always leads to a greater darkening of the spirit, and the person is still so far away from the right faith. The firmness and depth of faith is again a gift of grace from God, which is then imparted to the believing earthly child when he intimately asks for it, because through a deep, unshakable faith, unimaginable powers are available to man, and such a measure of grace must be consciously asked for before the love of God imparts it to the earthly child. Therefore, man must already be faithful, that is, he must recognize God and want to fulfill his demands, and then declare his readiness to accept the extraordinary grant of grace. He must do more than is demanded of him. He must stand in fullest conviction that no thing is impossible for God, and now put this faith into action. To do what is God's will, regardless of his human powerlessness. He must desire the power from God to provide the unbelieving people with the proof of the existence of a God being who is full of love, wisdom and omnipotence. Amen.